Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats. And we're doing a live one this summer because we have an exciting update about Legacy Traditional Schools Texas. And so my guest today is Mechiel Rozas, and she is the superintendent of Legacy Traditional Schools Texas. And so we reshared on our social media today our enrollment guide blog post about the different Legacy Traditional Schools campuses in the San Antonio area, including the new one that's under construction in Cibolo. And the main goal today is I wanted everybody to know Mechiel and find out about her background and what brought her to want to join Legacy Traditional Schools. And then she's got some updates about construction and things like that. So Mechiel, thanks for coming on Charter Moms Chats.
Of course, it's so nice to be here with you.
Yeah, and so I feel lucky because I actually did get to meet Mechiel in person, but it was not in San Antonio. It was in DC.
Yes.
It was in the expo hall at the National Charter Schools Conference. So that's where Mechiel and I were last week. So I hope you made it back to San Antonio okay. I know that air travel is a little tricky this summer.
It was tricky. I think we're all experiencing that, but yes, we got back okay.
Good, good. Okay, well, Mechiel, can you tell us about your role at Legacy Traditional Schools Texas?
Sure. I am Dr. Mechiel Rozas. I'm the proud superintendent of Legacy Traditional Schools in Texas. And as an educator and school leader, I'm super excited to continue Legacy's efforts towards a strong academic foundation in Texas. A little bit about Legacy. They first started in Arizona more than a decade ago, and they've grown from that beginning school in Arizona with 400 students to being one of the fastest growing public charter systems in the nation with over 30,000 students across 30 schools in Nevada, Arizona, and now Texas. This fall, we're going to welcome a brand new Legacy campus out in Cibolo, and it is the fourth campus for us. We will be serving over 1,400 students pre-K through eighth grade.
Oh, it's that was my excuse to bring the slides in that Sean sent. But I've been watching the progress at the Cibolo campus because my kids go to some activities in that part of town, and we've seen like the portable classrooms coming down the road, and then they get stuck together to make bigger buildings, and we see like the permanent campus that's taking shape, and it's really exciting to watch.
Yeah, I've had the same. I randomly was running errands a couple of weekends ago and I almost pulled over because there's, constantly new growth and development. And we were involved today in finalizing some safety plans. So there's lots of work going on out there in Cibolo, and we're super excited.
Yeah. Well, Michelle, I wanted to ask you about your journey as an educator before you joined Legacy. So can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. I've served in several different roles. I've been a bilingual teacher, an instructional coach, a principal pre-K through 12, an early childhood director, a director of literacy at the largest district in the state. So my background is really grounded in early childhood education and literacy education, with a significant amount of my work being focused around populations of at-risk and bilingual students. And I'm very passionate about creating and supporting high achieving, supportive school cultures that predominantly narrow achievement gaps so that we make sure that all of our children are really immersed and supported in that very supportive environment, and that every door of possibility is open to them once they complete their time with us.
Well, Michelle, that's a great background for the role that you'll be taking or that you are taking at Legacy because as our listeners may know, and from reading the enrollment guide blog post that the School of Excellence in Education was a charter network in San Antonio, and Legacy is now operating those campuses and bringing them into the Legacy Traditional Schools model. But many of those campuses are located inside Loop 410, and so it's the population that you have experience serving. It's you want to work to close the achievement gaps and make sure that students, regardless of their socioeconomic background, that they have as much opportunity as possible to succeed.
Absolutely. I think that, there are many, just like if we talk about losing weight, for example, there are many ways to measure that, your scale, your measurements, how your clothes fit. The same can be said for student progress. And in the state of Texas, it's typically measured by student growth through a standardized test. However, the ability of an organization to close learning gaps to make sure that we're meeting the needs of every single child and keeping them on or above grade level in their development, for me, and high literacy levels really are ultimately my personal measures of success.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what was it about Legacy Traditional Schools that attracted you to want to take a leadership role at Legacy?
That's a great question. And, honestly, when you find an organization that really aligns with your core beliefs, you know that you've hit the lottery. And so, legacy traditional schools like myself believe that there should be no limit to what a student can achieve with a great education. And I've worked my entire career, over 26 years in public education, and I wanted to serve our families and our children in a system that provided a well-rounded program that emphasized all areas of academic study, including arts, physical education, athletics, extracurricular activities, not just really focused on one particular grade level, but pre-K, like high quality, really phenomenal programming, pre-K all the way through high school, that journey. I'm the mom of a child who graduated a year ago and has completed their first year of college. And so that journey is so important. And those of us who've been lucky enough to support a child or children through that journey, we know that we want the very best for our entire community and hope that everyone has that experience. And I was really drawn to Legacy for their commitment to focusing on the foundations to make sure that kids have exactly what they need, so we can help them reach greater academic growth than the state's growth projections year after year. And they've done that. In the entire time of their existence. And so, of course, I was very drawn to that organization for the reason.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, that the from my research about Legacy, yeah, that students, Legacy students are high achieving, and and they come from a variety of backgrounds, but Legacy helps them be their best. And you talked about the range of activities that they could do on campus. So like they cover, which I think there's a slide for this, like they cover the basics, but they have lots of time on those enrichment activities too. So like yeah, like they all participate in arts and music, and they get lots of playtime and sports, and so it helps them be well rounded.
Absolutely, absolutely. Making sure that they have everything that's foundational while also having fun and joyful experiences in school are so important.
Yeah. Um, well, I want to ask you more about. So actually, this kind of touches on something that they covered a lot at the charter schools conference, and that about like the well-being of teachers and school principals, and that it's been challenging past few years with all the disruptions from the pandemic, and there's been changes in the teaching profession. People becoming teachers, but also leaving teaching for other careers. And so I was wondering, like, as the new superintendent, like, what's going to be your approach to supporting the principals at Legacy? Oh, and I just want to mention, like, we've had some of the principals on as guests, Terica and Chantrice, wonderful leaders, but they're going to need lots of support to help the school succeed, and they're going to need, they'll need to support their teachers at their campuses to make sure that they're delivering quality instruction to the students. So what's your approach to supporting principals and teachers?
Absolutely. I think that it's, I don't know, we assume however we feel and think is like how everybody else is thinking and feeling, but maybe it's a function of age, but I am really cognizant that we're currently in the middle of history, right? We're living what our children, our children's children will be discussing years from now. And so the the state that we see ourselves in education is such an interesting and exciting time. And I think in the past, we really took for granted, having a large body of teachers available. And we've seen that there are shortages across the whole United States. There are many reasons for that. But I think that it's foundational to my work. Obviously, it's a critical function of a school district, of any school system, to grow teachers and provide opportunities for professional advancement. And that's something I'm super passionate about. Funny enough, it came out as I was doing my doctoral research is the power of celebrating and building teacher capacity. It really is one of the most critical things for any system. And again, I was super excited to join Legacy because we know that having an effective teacher is a crucial factor for students and their success. And that's why we bring teacher development, recruitment, retention opportunities like no one else. The team and I have the experience and skills to build that capacity of teachers, again, not just in elementary, not just in middle school, but across the board, so that students are celebrated for their unique knowledge. It's really a requirement of today's educational system that all educators really know children across the board in all aspects, and that really they have the knowledge and ability to support them and take them to that next place.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and at Legacy, are y'all hiring teachers still for the coming school year? Are there some vacancies?
We're very fortunate in that we have filled the majority of our positions, but we do have a handful of openings still. And as we continue to enroll, obviously, we will have a need. So if you are an educator or interested in becoming an educator, of course, you should reach out to us and we would love to talk to you.
Okay. So I just put the link on the screen, but for anyone who's just listening on the podcast, it's texas.legacytraditional.org, and there's a careers tab, and that takes you to Vertex Education, which is the management company that does all the back office stuff. But just look for, or if you Google for Legacy Traditional Schools careers, that will get you to the jobs page. So teaching is my observation as a mom and as somebody who visits a lot of schools is that like if there's like one thing that a principal can do right, it's hiring great teachers. And of course you want to support teachers in other ways and do things like good parent communication and school safety and stuff. But honestly, like if there's like one thing for a school leader to get right, it's the hiring piece, because that affects the culture and the climate in every classroom. And it's like you said, it's how students should be treated and how they should feel included and welcomed in the classroom.
Absolutely, Inga. You and I could talk about this all day long, because the reason my mom was a teacher, so I would always say I would never be a teacher. But the reality is, once I became mature enough and really knew what I wanted to do, I wanted to be in education, and I wanted to be a principal from the beginning, because I knew if you could create spaces where teachers could not wait to come to work every day, by default, you would create great learning experiences for children. And that's always been a passion of mine. At every level, it doesn't matter if you're a teacher assistant, whether you support our students in the cafeteria, whatever work you do in a school building your capacity and helping you be that very best version of yourself and grow as a professional is so key to making sure our kids get the kind of educational experience they deserve.
Yeah. No, so you're right. We could talk about this all the time. I know that's what we were talking, but no, it is so important. And that, I think that's the reason why, I know like Legacy, like y'all been doing a lot of like open houses or kind of like virtual meetings and in-person meetings in ways that like, families can, see for themselves. I know like the Cibolo campus isn't ready for folks to like, set foot on really. It's still kind of a hard hat zone, but y'all have had, community meetings and, ways for people to, start to experience the school culture before their kids actually enroll into campus.
Yeah, we've had some Chuck E. Cheese nights that I just went to one last week at Chuck E. Cheese. It was a lot of fun. Our doors are always open. We'll put the information in this chat, but at our Bassey Road location, you can drop in at any time. I will likely be here, or one of our principals, and we're happy to take you on a virtual or a real tour. The same can be said for our Cibolo campus as well, or our Kelly campus. Our doors are always open, and we're always here and ready to share all the excitement that we have here at Legacy. We're pretty proud.
Yeah. So I've got some banners queued up with the contact info and stuff. But I guess before we get to that, let's talk more about like the construction and the improvements. So Cibolo is a ground up build, and then there's the existing campuses that are getting renovated. So I guess this is my cue to bring the slides back up. So we can kind of update more about. Oh, okay. Wait, I'm gonna start with this slide.
Okay, I can start talking while you bring it up.
There we go. Okay.
So during the summer
of 20 look like. Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah. During the summer of 2021, Legacy kicked off a major rebranding and school improvement effort, which is always exciting. Our three schools in San Antonio, including Kelly Elementary, which is pre-K through 5, Science Elementary, and junior high, which is K through 8, and then Lee Academy 9 through 12, they're currently undergoing a two-phase multi-million-dollar project to address updating things like electrical, mechanical, exterior, structural, and safety requirements. We've added recreational elements that are enhancing the building and improving student common areas and athletic facilities. In Cibolo, which you started with, our brand new 87,000 square foot campus is slated for completion in December. So you see our temporary suite out there in those little white buildings. We'll start the year with that, and we are all ready to go. We've finished all of the electrical work, and we're finalizing all the pieces over the next few weeks. And so even in the midst of supply chain demand that we're all living with, we are ready to go, and we're super excited to welcome children at all of those sites.
Yeah, it's let's see. So like I said, I drive by the Civil one pretty often because I'm in that part of
Yeah,
town, and it's a big piece of land. So I can see, it's going to take time to build it out. And like you said, it's hard to get materials these days. But the students will be able to get a good start. Start building their school community in the portables, and then they'll have like a beautiful, very classic looking campus to be able to move into. And then, I guess like the campus has a lot of features, right? Like a music room and like indoor athletic facilities and things like that.
absolutely. It's absolutely gorgeous. And even in the temporaries, we have exciting things to offer our families. And so as we transition mid-semester over to the building, it's just going to be a win-win all the way around. I'm super excited.
Yeah, and I've been to the Kelly campus, and I know like parts of it. They're like, oh, we're not that part's not on the tour. There's no students in there yet. It's under construction. But it's been a dramatic transformation. This is the closest one to my house. I live kind of in the Olmus Basin area, and so like yeah, it's a complete facelift of the campus. And
Yeah,
let's see,
it's
and then
really cool.
so the campus that's on Bassey Road. So that's the one that's Lee Academy is the 9 through 12 high school, right? And then Signs
Yes.
is elementary and junior high. I don't know as much about the changes that are happening on, I do drive on Bassey pretty often, but I can't see as much from the street, like what's being changed.
Yeah, so we're updating some of the outdoor spaces, and it's also in phases as well. So beginning this year, we have obviously the spaces set up for our elementary, middle, and high school grades that are already ready to go. We're finalizing furniture will be coming in over the next couple of weeks. We're thrilled about that. And then we will be updating our outdoor play areas, and we have a flag ceremony every morning. So all of our gathering places outside as well. And then we have some temporary spaces. Our high school will move over to those so we get everything updated. So we have everything really well planned out to make sure that education continues as we go through this process. But by the end of the year, we will have absolutely gorgeous spaces for all of the students.
I'm going to switch back to there's a map that shows the San Antonio campus. Although Cibolo is not on this map yet, right? So, but this shows where, right, like
Yeah.
Signs and yeah, and I guess so. Yeah, here I'll go back to the main screen here. I just want to let me put the website up on the screen again. So I guess if folks are wondering, like, okay, wait, Cibolo, Kelly, what are you talking about? Like, I guess just go to the website, texas.legacytraditional.org, and then that's a good way to drill down and like look up the specific addresses and find it on your Maps app and figure out like, okay, how far is that campus to where I live? How long would it take to get there? And then what about transportation?
We do have transportation at our Lee, Signs, and Kelly locations. And just like you said, there are so many ways to get information. You won't find it won't be difficult for you to get information about Legacy Traditional. If you go into Google Maps and you type in Legacy Traditional, by default, it's going to pull up all of our campuses. And so you can see in relationship to where you are, which site is closest to you. And then you can also, if you're watching this, you're likely on Facebook. So you can find our Facebook page by typing in Legacy Traditional Schools Texas. So really, there are so many ways to reach us. My central office is here at 1826 Bassey Road, and you can call us at 210-431-9881. So there are just so many ways to get in touch with us. And again, if you Google, which most people do, or search through a search engine, you'll pull up all of our information and you can get information. And we're happy to meet with you in person or talk on the phone as well.
Yeah, and yeah, I want to reinforce what Mechiel said about social media, because that's a great way to find out about these events, like the Chuck E. Cheese night, and when there's like open houses on campus. But like you said, you guys want the campuses to be accessible for families who are interested, and want to see what do the classrooms look like, what do these spaces look like, and meet with the people. I feel like that's really where the proof comes in, is like the people of legacy traditional schools, because they're all the ones I've met are really dedicated to helping students grow, and helping them feel like they belong. And it's a wonderful thing to see that kind of culture emerging.
Absolutely. I think, Inga, you and I know that, we're headed, in the blink of an eye, we'll be over July 4th weekend. But once that wraps up, people will be finishing up the last of their summer vacations and beginning to think about school for the next year. And we really live in such a consumer era, and families really are going to look around and decide which location and which kind of school best fits the needs of their child. And that's what's exciting about charter systems and all of the choices that are available to families. And Inga, you've done such a great job of really being such a voice to that concept. And so it's really exciting to me, because I can think back to my own educational experience, and even for my parents, there was really just one choice, and it was based upon your address. And we no longer live in that situation, and we have some really phenomenal options out there for our families. And so ultimately, it's just about making sure they have all the necessary information so they can choose the site that's best for their child.
Yeah, there's so much more flexibility than there used to be. And I remember when I was in high school here in San Antonio, wishing like that I had more choices, because I felt like I didn't fit in where I was at. And now, like, families have so many more options, and it is more complicated to choose from all these things. I love it. This is what I do all the time, but that's why I try to welcome families into like our Facebook group. It's SA Charter Moms discussion group on Facebook. If you're not already a member, please join. And it's a safe place to ask. There are no dumb questions. So like one thing we haven't touched on is that charter schools don't charge tuition. So all of this is for free. and they welcome all kinds of students, including kids with special needs, like my son. And that the exciting thing is all the differences in what charter schools offer. So really I encourage families really dig in to like what legacy offers that you might not expect to find at a charter school, like all the arts and music education, all the like sports and PE that students really get a well-rounded education.
Absolutely. And I think that I love a good set of data. And one thing that I think that is really interesting is that charter schools currently make up about 6% of schools in Texas, but interestingly, they're 20% of all the A-rated districts. So their performance really speaks for itself. We're doing a great job not only of offering choice to families, but also delivering on the promise of a world-class education and making sure that children are really seen, they're known, they're celebrated, and then we're building them up so they can ultimately decide what they want to do as they leave us. And then also, I thought it was really interesting that charter schools send 4% more of their students to college than traditional schools do. So that really speaks to that journey. Legacy traditional schools really has a long record of success. I don't have to really toot the horn of legacy traditional because it has a national reputation for high quality. But just like you mentioned, I think people have, even among my own friends who have been around me in education for a long time, there's a lot of questions and misinformation about charter systems. But ultimately, we know really from a business model, it's about competition, and that makes everyone be better at the work that they're doing. And so really for parents to shop around and see what's available. And like you said, it comes down to the people that are working in those locations and really hearing what their focus is and what they're about. And you have to, we all know to trust our mom intuition. Your spirit will tell you if it's the right choice for you. So I'm super excited to welcome all of our students this coming year.
Yeah. Oh, and we have a comment from a Facebook viewer. She says, need a school closer to 78249, been waiting 2+ years. Oh, okay. So 78249, for folks not familiar with San Antonio, that's the kind of UTSA, RIM, La Cantera area, so the northwest side. So
Oh, well,
I'm not going to,
whoever
I don't
that
mean to put you on
person
the
is,
spot.
I would
Yeah.
say just wait. You might see
Okay.
something you like in the near future. So we're excited to continue to grow and really offer great choices, not only in San Antonio but in the greater Texas area. But I think you'll be very pleased in the coming years.
Well, that's one of the things. So when I found out that Legacy was coming to Texas, based on the strong track record in Arizona and Nevada, being able to, like, you can't take it for granted that a school is able to grow quickly and have high quality at all the new campuses. Like there's something special in that. And so to have, the Legacy model come to San Antonio is great. So yes, and I look forward every year to updating the enrollment guide whenever the news is ready for the public about where those new campuses are going to be.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's going to be a great year. I think everyone is ready to get back into the new normal, and it's an exciting time in education.
Yeah. Okay. So let's as we kind of wrap up, I'll put the contact info back on the screen, how to track down. So yeah. So Mechiel, just to recap, like she's the new superintendent of Legacy Traditional Schools Texas. The best source on the web is texas.legacytraditional.org. Also, in the description of the video, you'll find a link that takes you to the enrollment guide blog post at SA Charter Moms. That's got lots of information about each campus, and we've covered the new campus under construction in Cibolo, as well as the improvements that are happening at Kelly Elementary, Science Elementary and Junior High, and Lee Academy, which is the high school. So Mechiel, your office is it's in the same complex as Lee and Science, right? Which is that office on Bassey. So that's a place where during business hours, families can stop by and get their questions answered. But there's the website, and then there's the phone number. So 210-431-9881. And then I also found on the website, there's an email address folks can reach out to. It's info-texas@legacytraditional.org. So lots of ways. Oh, and follow on social media, because that's a great way to get updates and find out about those get-togethers and events where you could meet folks from Legacy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Inga. This has been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to see Legacy to continue to grow and get to interact more with you and your principals and Legacy families. So it's great to see it grow.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Great, bye.